to my channel. As you're able to tell by the title of this video and the little introduction to the vlog, today is going to be a reading vlog, in particularly about The Breakup Tour by Wibberley and Siegemund-Broka. I came across this book like a couple of days ago on TikTok because someone said that this is supposedly a book inspired by Taylor Swift, or like Taylor Swift fanfiction. And if you know me, like if you've had a conversation with me for longer than 5 minutes, you will know that I'm a massive Swiftie. Like, I have spent hundreds of euros on Roughest tour tickets. I'm completely obsessed with everything that woman does. I love Reputation in particular. Like, I am obsessed with that woman. I don't know if I want to be her or be with her at this point. I felt like I needed to pick this book up because like I'm the perfect candidate to read this kind of book. One, I love reading, like I know my shit. I love rom-coms. And two, I'm a Swiftie and this is a Taylor Swift rom-com, so I'm very curious what this is about. Every single tagline for this book, if you look this book up on Barnes & Noble, on Amazon, like every online website, you will see in the tagline, for fans of Taylor Swift or for Swifties. I want to check out for myself if this book was actually written by Swifties, like if Austin and Emily are actual like Swift connoisseurs and know the lore and know the lyrical references and everything, or if this is just a marketing ploy to get Swifties behind this book and get them to buy this. What I find a bit suspicious about this is that this book was released in January of 2024, right? So this year. Typically in publishing, it takes at least like 1 full year to get from like a manuscript to a full published book. Now the Roughest tour was announced in, I think, November of 2022. So like this could genuinely be inspired by Taylor Swift. Or this could have just been a manuscript that was already in the process of being written, and just because they saw Taylor Swift going on a massive tour, and just because like she's famous right now, like she's on top of the world, she's winning Grammys, she's doing everything all at once, so like she is the it girl right now. So maybe they just thought, well, let's just slap a Taylor Swift lookalike on the cover to get all of the Swifties behind this book and get them to buy it. If that was the case, I bought into it. The second reason why I think this might be a marketing ploy is that there's an alternative cover for this book. I'll put a picture up right here that looks nothing like this. Like, it just looks nothing like Taylor Swift. It is like a cover that is in line with the author's previous work, which is like, I think they wrote the Roughest draft as well, which is a book that I also want to read. Like, it has the same style, right? It looks nothing like this. So like, did they put this cover on here just because they knew that Taylor Swift was huge and the Roughest tour is happening right now? Or is it because it is actually inspired by Taylor? We shall see. So let me give you like a short summary of what I've read so far. So this book is about Riley, and Riley is a blonde pop star embarking on a massive world tour to promote her album, The Breakup album. Now, in my opinion, the Breakup album and the Midnight album from Taylor Swift have kind of a similar way of setup, because every single song on the Breakup album is basically like a breakup that Riley has had. So every single song is about one particular ex from her life. And if you know Midnight, like the latest album of Taylor Swift, it's sort of like a concept album where every single song is about a restless, sleepless night that Taylor has had, reminiscing about past relationships, past situations she has been in. So like, it's also kind of a reflective album, which is, I feel like the Breakup album, I see the similarities here, like I can see vague similarities. So one of the songs on the Breakup album is Popping Off. Like, it is Riley's All Too Well, you know, like it is the heartbreaking, heart-wrenching song that is being overplayed on radios. It is the TikTok hit of the moment, like it is the song. Now this particular song is about an ex called Max, and Max is the one that got away, the long lost love that she wanted to be with, but it did not work out because Riley wanted to be famous and he wanted to be a good old normal person. Basically, Max is the sunshine to Riley's midnight rain. Like, he wanted to be normal, wanted to just live his life, and Riley wanted to tour and have fame and become basically a pop star. However, Riley's ex-husband, who's like this massive Hollywood star, I would say I would compare him to Joe Alwyn, but he isn't like a massive Hollywood star, so he's like the Jake Gyllenhaal or the Tom Hiddleston in this scenario. Like, he's famous, he's featured in every single big movie, like he's the star of the moment. But this guy is claiming that Max's song, so the All Too Well song that is blowing up, is actually about him. So to take matters into her own hands, she decides to go and hit up Max and asks him like, hey, Dude, is it okay that I tell everyone that this song is about you? And Max initially is a bit hesitant because he does not want to be associated with his Hollywood fame, but he is currently running a retirement home that he had to take over from his parents. He's been taking care of it very dutifully for basically the last 10 years, but it is not doing all too well. It's not doing very well. Plus, his parents and his family are basically encouraging him to be like, you need to do something else with your life. Like, you gave up on your passion, like he used to be very into music just like Riley. You gave up on it just to take over this retirement home. You need to do something for you. And Max says to Riley like, okay, you can tell everyone that this song is about me, but I want to join you on this tour. I want to go on the road and see if this life is something for me, and alongside that he can also get some money to potentially save the retirement home. No, my friendship bracelet! How long has this been just hanging here? I'm really upset about this. My friendship bracelet. Anyway, wardrobe malfunctions aside, that is where I ended up in the Breakup Tour. My main goal is to figure out if this book is actually written by a Swiftie and is not just like a cash grab. Also, side note, I find it very funny that this book is called the Breakup Tour because when you think about it, in hindsight, the Eras Tour is technically a breakup tour. Like, it is the tour where Joe Alwyn and Taylor Swift broke up. So like, did Emily and Austin manifest Joe Alwyn and Taylor Swift breaking up? Like, did they sort of put that out in the universe by publishing this book and calling it the Breakup Tour? Who knows? I'm very curious. We will see how this one unfolds. I'll make sure to report back and tell you, long story short, if this is worth your while. That was so corny. Forewarning though, I am going to include spoilers in this video, so if you don't want to be spoiled, maybe click out of this video, but yeah, let's start reading.
I laid down our waiter. When he's with a jolt of recognition, and he recovers his composure. What can I get started for you?
So it's a little bit later. I apologize for how I look. I'm about to hit the sack. I'm also talking a bit quietly because, as you can tell from my previous clip, my cat is just like sprawled out. I'm gonna try and sneak a clip after this if I'm able to. He's like sprawled out in my bed and I'm trying not to wake him. But I made some progress. I listened to the audiobook when I was getting ready this morning and also when I was driving to work. I also read a bit during my lunch break, and there were a couple of things that I've noticed. Firstly, this is a very typical thing for rom-coms, but I did not really realize, or like my brain did not compute that this would be like a dual point of view. I thought this was just going to be Riley's perspective. So it is actually Max and Riley's perspective. So you hear both POVs. And obviously like you also hear Max talk about Riley and how he feels about her and about their past together. And he's basically lusting over her. I cannot help but imagine Taylor Swift because obviously this is a Taylor Swift like inspired book, supposedly, once again. It's a bit weird. I feel like I'm somehow stepping a boundary, like I'm invading her privacy for some reason. But anyway, that is entirely on me. I should have realized this was double POV. Secondly, I noticed this particular part where Riley's talking to Max and she's basically saying that she really despises how her ex-husband is claiming that Max's song is actually about him, because to her that is like completely destroying the meaning of that song. That song was meant for Max. It was a message from her to him, and her ex-husband is kind of using it to make like funny TikToks, and he's basically exploiting the song and trying to get as much juice and recognition out of it as he can, which obviously Riley does not like. And when Riley tells this to Max, there's a specific passage where he says the following: "While Riley and I don't understand each other, not entirely, it's not hard to imagine how wrenching it would feel to have the heart of your proudest creation ripped out of your control." This particular section in my head echoes so much the particular situation Taylor is in with her masters. If we're not in the loop with the Taylor's versions and the masters situation, the rights to Taylor's first 6 6 records were sold out from under her. There was a particular situation where Taylor basically was denied or like lost the ability to purchase the masters of her first 6 albums. This happened when like she changed record labels. The previous record label owner sold her masters to Scooter Braun, and Scooter Braun is a very questionable man. If you want to know more, just look it up, but like Taylor absolutely despises him. Taylor basically ended up in the situation where she lost control of the first 6 recordings of her album. So like if anyone would want to license her song in film or in a TV show, they would have to ask permission to Scooter Braun. Also, whenever an old recording of her song is being played, Scooter also makes money off of it. So that is why she decided to like re-record her previous albums to basically reclaim the rights for those albums. Obviously the situation with Riley's ex-husband is completely different, like it's not in any way similar, but the way that Max described it, like having her creation be ripped out of her control, is basically how Taylor often described her situation with her masters. So I thought that was like a very canny similarity. So yeah, I'm gonna continue this tomorrow and I'll give you another update when I am able to. Next day. I didn't really end up reading much yesterday. I did listen to the audiobook a bit. I was actually kind of panicking because I could not find my tabs anywhere, so I quickly ordered some off of Amazon and I can now continue reading this. Oh, also I got a haircut. I was like, oh, it's a bit later. Yeah, you have completely different hair length. So what has happened so far is that Max has joined the tour with Riley. One of the reasons that Max is on this tour is because Riley wrote Until You, so the All Too Well song, on piano. The reason why she did that is because Max is an excellent pianist. So the point was that Max would join Riley on stage and perform Until You with her, and hopefully by the way that they were interacting and the way that the song was being performed, the audience would kind of figure out that the song was about Max by the way that they were bouncing off of each other. Unfortunately, that did not really happen because they noticed that whenever they were performing the song together, both of them were kind of disassociating. Like he was playing the song beautifully, like he was doing his thing masterfully, but there was no emotion behind it. The same thing for Riley. She was just getting through the song and not really performing with Max. So she was like, okay, let's do an emergency meeting. We need to figure this out because I want my audience to have a good performance. So they start practicing the song together, and obviously because this is a rom-com, during one of their sessions they end up kissing, and after this kiss things become a little bit awkward. They're not really talking to each other, and every single performance of Until You just sucks. Causes a lot of tension and a lot of mixed feelings. One day though, Max wakes up and he hears Riley singing a song that he has not heard before, so he realizes she's actually composing a new song, and obviously this new song is about Max and about their kiss that they had and about their possibility of rekindling their relationship. They're sort of like bouncing off of each other, they're starting to work on the song together, and Max is kind of like giving suggestions that also apply to their potential relationship. Like for example, if Riley is singing about the fact that she feels like this is going nowhere, Max is like, I think we should put like a hopeful reconciliation in the bridge so it does feel like they're ending up together, yada yada yada. So they're kind of working on their relationship as they're working on the song. After this session they vibe really well, they're flirting again, like you can tell that there is chemistry again. They're also kind of admitting to themselves that they have feelings for each other, yada yada yada. A couple of days later though, Riley receives a bouquet of flowers from her ex-husband. This kind of throws her off. She has no clue what she's supposed to do anymore, and this is where we kind of ended up. She's very insecure and she's very uncertain of what the future will bring. As you can see, I've tabbed a lot of things because I'm noticing a lot of swiftisms. Firstly, there are a lot of references to actual words and actual lyrics that Taylor uses in her songs. I've read incandescent at least 3 times, which is not a word that is used very often, but it is a lyric from her song Ivy where she says, "Your touch brought forth an incandescent glow." Riley's personal motto is to live fearlessly. Like if that is not the most obvious Taylor reference, I don't know what is. Aside from that, there are also a lot of similarities between Riley's image and Taylor's image. Riley says throughout the book that a lot of the media and a lot of the general audience often accuses Riley of being the breakup queen and causing breakups and ending relationships just to be able to write breakup songs, which is something that Taylor has been accused of very often in her career. I remember there's even this interview with an Australian journalist where she says that she does not like how people constantly says that the only thing she talks about is breakups and love songs, because nobody says that about Ed Sheeran, nobody says that about The Weeknd, but for some reason I'm being targeted, and that feels very sexist. At the same time, Riley is also very self-reflective about the entire breakup queen situation, because she's like very self-aware that she's probably self-sabotaging a lot of the times, that she's self-sabotaging her relationships just in order to be able to create great art, because she knows that when she's suffering and she's experiencing heartbreak, she oftentimes creates the best art, which is also something Taylor has spoken about numerous times. In the song Mirror Ball, she literally says like, I'm a mirror ball, I'm here to entertain you, but if I shatter in a million pieces, I'm also entertaining you. My heartbreak and my suffering is the cause of my creativity and is also entertaining you. Lastly, I wanted to highlight this particular passage that is about Riley's ex-husband, where she talks about how her ex-husband is this famous movie star who's winning tons of awards and is on top of his game. When explaining this, she says that a lot of the times when she had something to celebrate, like when she had a Grammy nomination or she was playing for a sold-out stadium, etc., etc., he was not really happy for her. Like, she was basically there to shine upon him and make him shine more brightly. She was never allowed to shine in the same way that he was. Let me read the particular passage for you. So, I didn't notice how he never wanted to hear my same effusiveness when label meetings went well, or I booked my first stadium, or the cover story pictures started coming in, until I did. Then I noticed every day. I hid the glimpses from myself, pretended with my damn optimism not to care if this magnetic man didn't want to know my career was soaring. I spent our fraught months waiting for him to feel lucky the way I did, waking up every day delighted to have found the mirror image of my own relentless joy. Except he didn't want a mirror image. He wanted a mirror. He didn't want me to match his stardom, his stature, his legend. He wanted me to reflect it, so his showed larger. If this isn't the most Taylor thing I've ever heard, I don't know what is. Obviously this echoes the lyric in All Too Well, for example, where she says, I'm a never needy, ever lovely jewel whose shine reflects off you. But also the entire song of Tolerated, where she says, I'm doing all of these things, I'm doing my best. Have you noticed me? And all you do is tolerate me. And how can I forget the iconic line of You're Losing Me, where she says, I'm the best thing in this party. The entire song of Bejeweled is about this, where she says, I want to shine and I want to be the star that I am, but my significant other is not allowing me to do those things. Like, this is very Taylor Swift. So yeah, Emily and Austin have done their homework. This is more than just superficially throwing in some Taylor references. Like, this goes deep. I'm gonna continue reading this, and hopefully I'll be able to finish this by the end of the day and give you my final judgment. So I finished the book last night. As you can see, I continued tabbing quite a lot. Before I go into the nitty-gritty, I do want to give you like a short summary of what still happens in this book. After Riley receives the flowers from her ex-husband, she completely flunked her next performance. It was probably like the worst performance she's ever done on tour. And to blow off some steam, she decides to go to the recording studio and ends up recording the song that she and Max worked on earlier on. Eventually, Max also joins her at the recording studio because he noticed that she was upset, and they end up having some sexy time. But they're both also very aware of the fact that the entire situation is very delicate. That the entire situation is very fragile and everything could shatter at any moment. But they do try to make it work. They end up going to Coachella together because Riley has a set there with another artist. Everything goes well up until the point that Riley's ex shows up at the after party at Coachella, because Riley had invited him hoping that he would end up apologizing to her about the entire situation. It ends up making things worse, bringing up like insecurities for Riley, which kind of ends up creating tension between Max and Riley, because Riley ends up expressing how fragile she feels in the situation and how she thinks it'll just end up being a breakup and another breakup song. Max is also very much doubting the situation. They end up sort of breaking up, or at least Max decides to go back to the retirement home and fix some stuff there, and Riley continues going on the tour without Max. At the end of the book, Max realizes that he wants to see Riley one last time. So he buys tickets to her latest show, which by the way is the most unrealistic thing in this entire book. Max obviously did not have to go through the pre-sale and then the Great War that was Ticketmaster. Like, I was so upset when I read that. He was like, oh, let me just buy some tickets. There's no way. Anyway, at the concert, Riley ends up singing a new song, and this song is actually a love song about Max, because throughout the book she has expressed that she is very hesitant about writing love songs because it's a very fragile thing to do. With a breakup song, you're reflecting and you know that the situation is over, but with a love song, it is in the current moment, so it makes the entire process very fragile and very intimate. So she ends up singing the love song, and Max is in the stadium, but Riley is not aware of this. And after this love song, Riley ends up playing Until You, but she is just struggling. She cannot get through the song because she's also playing on piano, which is not her strongest suit. So obviously Max races up to the podium and they finish the song together and they live happily ever after. The end. So what is my final judgment on this book? Well, in my opinion, this book is so much fun if you're a Swiftie. The authors, Emily and Austin, did prove that they are certified Swifties. There are a lot of references in here that you would just not know if you're not into the entire fandom. There is even a character in here that is like a copy paste of Harry Styles. Like, it is so much fun. It is full of Easter eggs, and us Swifties, we love an Easter egg hunt, so I'm sure you'll have a field day with this book. But if you're reading this book just as a romance and you're not really a fan of Taylor Swift, I actually don't think you would like this, because one of my biggest gripes of this book is it is a romance, right? It's a second chance romance, but half of the time I do not get what Max and Riley see in each other. Like, you rarely get to see the chemistry and the romance between these two characters because they're always talking about what happened in the past, but you never get to see the chemistry and what made them fall in love in the first place. So in my opinion, there is not really a lot of romance in this book, which is the entire point of a romance book. Aside from that, I also don't get what Riley sees in Max because he's pretty bland. Typically the point of a romance too is it is written for a female audience, so you also kind of need to be attracted to the male love interest as a reader, and I don't get it. I don't see it. There's nothing there. I don't really think this is a book worth reading if you're just not into Taylor Swift. If you are a Swiftie, this is a lot of fun. It is a bit hard not to imagine Taylor Swift having sex. So like, do with that what you will. But yeah, great book for a Swiftie, but not so great if you're not into Taylor Swift. So yeah, I hope you liked this reading vlog, and hopefully this is not the last one. I'm gonna try and do lots more, and I'll catch you another time. Bye!